Good morning everybody. Today we are out looking at the Mavic 3 Mini Pro. This amazing little pocket-sized drone is, I think, going to change the consumer drone industry. Now I'm sure you've already seen loads of videos about this from all the big content creators, but I want to show you what a very average editor and a very average drone pilot can do with this $1,000 US drone, because I can tell you right now, it is an amazing piece of technology. I've had it for a week and I've flown it more in the last 7 days than I've flown my Mavic 2 Pro in the last 12 months. First, the big one, well actually the small one, the weight. 249 grams means it's under that magic 250 gram number, which means you need no licenses to fly this drone almost anywhere. You still have to follow drone regulations, don't fly it directly over people and so on. But as far as buying it, going outside, turn it on and take it off in your backyard, there's nothing stopping you from doing that because of that weight class. Now the next big one on the Mini 3 Pro is definitely the camera and the obstacle avoidance system. It now has obstacle avoidance, so front, rear and below, and it's a dual vision sensor, so it's picking up so much data in real time. You can fly this straight towards a tree, a rock, a person, and it'll either stop, or if you've enabled the A-Pass, it will make a route around it, a safe route around it, so it doesn't crash. Now these are never perfect, so always don't fly in low light. Make sure you can see the drone, be aware of what you're coming up to, because they can fail. Sometimes if there's a ghost branch, I think they call it, it can get caught up and you're going to lose your drone. So always fly with caution, but just know that for peace of mind, you've got that obstacle avoidance system, which will do a very good job. Next one, and this is for definitely today's generation, vertical shooting, true vertical shooting with no crop. Now with just a push of a button, you can turn that gimbal to vertical orientation, which is going to be perfect for all the Instagrams and TikToks and whatever other social media platforms now post in vertical format. And now here's the big one for me, and probably why I have been flying it so much more than my Pro 2, my Mavic Pro 2, and that's the noise. This drone is surprisingly quiet. It is definitely the quietest drone I've ever personally flown. Once you take off and you're maybe 5-10 meters away, you just cannot hear it. It's just so quiet. Let's talk about tracking, because DJI has always, I think, lacked a little bit in tracking, especially when we compare it to something like Skydio. The tracking on the Mavic drones has always been good but not great. Well, I think they've finally cracked some secret sauce, some mathematical equation for the Mini 3 Pro, because the tracking on this, the focus track on this is amazing. I've had this drone above me, beside me, in front of me, and it tracks beautifully. Even when going around almost blind corners. I think what they've done is they've put something into the software which now says, okay, you've been tracking X at X speed, and if you lose it, we'll keep going for another couple of meters, because in theory, X should continue to Y. I'm just making all this up, obviously I'm not a mathematician. But what it does now is when it loses you, it will keep moving for a little bit longer and try to find you again, whether it's going up, down, or around an obstacle. And geez, it does a good job. And that's really what makes this drone so valuable to me as a content creator, that focus track, but also all the different master shots you can do, all the spirals and the vortexes and the dronies. They're all fun, but they really do add value when you're making content. All right guys, and the very last point, and this is definitely the biggest point of the whole drone. Yes, it takes amazing footage. Yes, it's got awesome tracking. Yes, it's got a great flight time at almost 34 minutes or up to 34 minutes. But the remote that comes with this, the RC remote with that amazing screen, is just insane. No longer do you have to pull your phone out, pop the case out, muck around with cables, put it into the remote, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, hope nobody calls whilst you're flying the drone and it's a kilometer away from you. Of course, you can still see it. Now you've got this amazing RC remote with built-in screen, which is super clear, super bright. Everything's done touch screen. You've got your buttons and it just works perfectly. You've got the built-in memory. It's just, honestly, I don't know how they're doing it for $1,000 US or $12.99 here in Australia. for me, it's a no-brainer. All right, guys, well, if you've got any questions or comments about the DJI Mini 3 Pro, chuck them down below. If you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, honestly, I've got nothing to fault about this drone. The only thing I would say is the stupid gimbal cover. I think they did it on purpose just to raise people's blood pressure. I have yet to have a DJI drone, except for my Spark, which had an easy to put on gimbal cover or gimbal protector. This thing is, honestly, it's like solving the Da Vinci Code. Sometimes it goes straight on, click, and you're like, ah, I got it, cool. A minute later, it's like you've been blindfolded and you're doing it with your left hand or your right hand. It's the worst thing ever. You need to put it on there because you need to protect that beautiful redesigned gimbal, but the gimbal cover, they need to go back to the drawing board on that. That's the one thing I hate about this drone, but everything else is absolutely awesome. All right, guys, that is it. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button if you've liked this content. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We've got loads of really cool tech coming out over the next few months. Loads of amazing skateboard reviews and unicycle reviews, a couple of e-bikes, a couple of e-scooters, and as I mentioned in the previous video, we're taking the channel on a holiday over Christmas. We're starting to plan that now. I'm gonna be asking you guys for feedback and ideas of where and what we should do. All right, guys, well, until then, stay safe and we'll see you on the next video.
Feels so right.